Yes. See, in the last few classes, we are discussing about quasi-contract. So you know now what do you mean by quasi-contract? So quasi-contract is a contract. It is imposed by law. That means here obligations are imposed with the help of court. Yes, it is a fictional contract. You know, quasi contract is a fictional contract. That means it is not a real contract. It arises due to certain circumstances. That is why it is known as quasi contract. Yes, after that, we discussed various types of quasi contract. Then we discussed about discharge of contract. What do you mean by discharge of contract? When both the parties in a contract have performed their respective obligation, then contract is said to be discharged. In short, what you can say, discharge of contract is nothing but parties in a contracts are no longer liable in a contract. That means there is a discharge of a contract. Then there is a topic of breach of a contract. So what do you mean by breach? Breach means any one of the parties who are there in a contract failed to perform their respective obligation. In that case, there is a breach of a contract. Whenever there is a breach, what happens? There are some remedies. Remedies are given for breach of a contract. So what are those remedies that we need to see? So remedies is nothing but solution. We know remedies is nothing but it is a solution, one kind of solution. So that we need to see now. See this. Under remedies, first type is suit for recession. Suit for rescission means it is nothing but simplest way to cancel the contract is to, yeah, you say that you don't want to continue with the contract. Rescission is nothing but cancellation of contract. So simplest way you can discharge the contract, that is by saying that you don't want to perform the contract. Yes, but here we are talking about remedies for breach of a contract. So breach means whenever there is a failure to execute the contract, then aggrieved party. Who is aggrieved party? Party who has suffered the loss has an option either to continue with the contract or to cancel the contract. So here they have said suit for rescission, you can cancel the contract. Next there is a suit for damages. Suit for damages is nothing but aggrieved party can claim compensation. So that is known as a suit for damages, compensation amount. So compensation may be predetermined or it is determined or calculated or estimated as per the certain circumstances. Under damages, again there are various types of damages we have seen. So first is normal or direct damages. Direct damages, you know, these type of damages occurs in a day-to-day transaction, day-to-day activities of the concern or day-to-day transaction, and these type of damages are recoverable. Here aggrieved party can recover this type of damages. This and all we have discussed. Then second there is a special damages. Special damages are arises due to some uncertain or some special circumstances. That is why these type of damages can be recoverable only if court permits. Only if court permits. And one more thing, if there is a no knowledge of special damage to the defaulting party, in that case aggrieved party cannot recover this type of special damages. For this there is a case law also that we need to see later. Then there is a remote or indirect damages. What do you mean by indirect damages? These are the damages which arises indirectly from the breach of contract. So these damages do not involve day-to-day transactions. Next, nominal damages means small amount of damages or minute damages. So this is known as nominal damages. Then exemplary or vindictive damages are there. Exemplary or vindictive damages means these type of damages are punitive in nature. So what do you mean by punitive in nature or punishing damages? So whenever there is a default is made or whenever one party fails to perform the contract, in that case what happens? In that case, here some a fine is imposed on the party, some fine is imposed or some punishment is given. See this. Example is breach of promise to marry, wrongful dishonor of check by the banker. So these are the example for vindictive damages. Then there is a damages for loss of reputation. So if some company is carrying on its operation for several years, then suddenly due to some event, the reputation of the company gets damaged. In that case, company cannot recover. That means here company cannot ask damages from defaulting party. It cannot be recovered. Damages for inconvenience and discomfort, it can be recovered provided that you should prove that in the court of law, or else it cannot be recovered. Yes, till here we have discussed. Now next point under damages is mitigation of damages. So what do you mean by mitigation? Mitigation means minimization. Mitigation is nothing but it's a minimization of damages. How to minimize the damages? That is the question. How to minimize the damages? So here aggrieved party. Who is aggrieved party? One who has suffered the loss. Aggrieved party has to take some reasonable step to mitigate the loss or minimize the loss. So if due to the negligence of the aggrieved party, if there is a more loss, in that case, aggrieved party cannot recover that particular loss. So what example you can give for this mitigation of loss? What example you can give? Can you tell me? Mitigation of loss, what example you can give here? See, here we can give the example of stock market. Stock market example we can give. See, now you have seen the web series. I hope most of them have seen the web series known as Scam. So if you see that, in that there is stock market due to market fluctuation, there is a ups and down in the stock market. So let us assume now, so I am one investor in that particular stock market. Let us say Bombay stock market. So now me, A, let us say A is an investor in Bombay stock market. So now at the time of investing, the price of the shares, let us say 150 rupees. At the time of investing, price of the share is 150 rupees. Then after 6 months, price of the share became 300 rupees. Okay, so now you have the option now. Now you have the option, you can sell your share and earn the money, earn the extra profit. That is, of course, 150 rupees is your profit, because 150 is the original amount. Now you are getting 300, that means difference is 150. Every share you are getting 150 rupees, but you won't sell such shares. Why? Because you want some long-term investment. Long-term investment you are planning. That is why you won't sell such shares. So in that case, what you are going to do? In that case, what you are going to do? In that case, you will wait for certain year. Again, you will wait for certain year. Then you will see what is the market position. So let us say after 2 years, now the price of the share 150 rupees has fallen down, and now it has become 80 rupees. 80 rupees. So now you should sell your share if you want to get at least some recovery of amount. You can sell the share or you can wait. Okay, so now let us assume you have waited and you have not sold the share at rupees 80. Now after one more year, what happens again? Shares have fallen down, share prices have fallen down, now 80 to 70. In that case, what you can say, you have failed to mitigate the loss. Why you have failed to mitigate the loss? Because you can sell the shares when the price was at 80 rupees, but you have not sold. You waited and now price has become 70. So this is the case of mitigation of loss. So in this case, you cannot recover that 10 rupee. 10 rupee you cannot recover, only the original amount. 150 minus 80 you can recover. That is 70 rupees you can recover. Extra amount you have lost because of negligence, you cannot recover. So that is the meaning of mitigation of damages. Then there is a difficulty in assessment of damages. Suppose there are some circumstances may come where what happens, very difficult to assess the damages. Suppose one person dies. Let us assume there is one person dies. Can you measure the life of the person in terms of money? Can you tell me? Can you measure the life of the person in terms of money? Whether that is possible? Whether it is possible to measure life of the person in terms of money? Yes, answer. Whether it is possible. So let us give the example now. Suppose one person dies, and let us say that one party will give the compensation. One party will give the compensation of rupees 20 lakh. So whether that 20 lakh is a compensation for that particular person's life, that means whether his life is worth 20,000 or more, that we can't say, because life cannot be measured in terms of money, isn't it? So same thing here, difficulty in assessment of damages means here sometimes calculating the damages accurately by the court, no ground for awarding the damages. That means court cannot give the reason that there is a difficulty. Court has to find certain steps to measure the damages, then they can ask for, or court can give compensation to the aggrieved party. So that is the ninth one, difficulty in assessment of damages. Then cost of decree. What do you mean by cost of decree? Cost of decree is nothing but cost of filing the suit. Suppose you have suffered a loss, now you decided that you will go to the court of law. Of course, you know that going to the court of law is not free. You will incur some expenses, isn't it? So these expenses are recoverable provided there is a condition. What is the condition? However, at the discretion of the court. What do you mean by discretion? It is at the option of the court. So if court feels such expenses must be given to the aggrieved party, court may say that the defaulting party has to pay the compensation. If court feels that such expenses need not to be given, then court may say the defaulting party that you should not pay such type of expenses to the aggrieved party. That is cost of decree. Then next one is damages agreed upon in advance in case of breach. See this, if the sum is set aside to be payable at the time of breach, must be given to the aggrieved party. So this is nothing but some pre-estimation of amount. So you say that if you fail to perform the contract, you have to pay 5 lakh rupees. You have to pay 5 lakh rupees. So it is one type of imposition on the parties. Or else you can keep reserve fund. If there is any uncertain events during the execution of the contract, you can use that reserve fund for the purpose of that particular contract. So that is 11th one, damages agreed upon in advance in case of breach. Yes, what type of damages we can have in advance? There are two types of damages we can have in advance, that is liquidated damages. In advance means what? Nothing but it is pre-estimation. Liquidated damages is, see this, it is the amount fixed by the party to the contract, which is a fair pre-estimate of the probable loss that might occur as a result of breach of a contract. That means you are keeping certain sum aside in order to meet the breach, in order to meet the breach or in order to meet the failure to execute the contract. That is known as liquidated damages. Next one is penalty. Penalty is not equal to liquidated damages. Why? Because penalty is one kind of fine. This is after the failure to execution of contract. So it is not a pre-estimate. Penalty is not a pre-estimate. Liquidated damages is a pre-estimate. Penalty, you can say it is a post-estimate. One type of post-estimate. Why? Because after the failure to perform the contract, you are imposing certain fines. So that is known as penalty. So penalty can be a pre-estimate also. That is one more thing. But most of the cases, in general, penalty is a post-estimate of the losses. Yes. So these are the two types of pre-estimate and post-estimate damages. Then there is a third one. Third one is suit upon quantum merit. Okay. Till now we have discussed remedies available to breach of contract. First one is rescission, second one is damages. Now third one. Third one is suit upon quantum merit. So what do you mean by quantum merit? Quantum means what? First thing you need to know, what do you mean by quantum? Quantum is nothing but it is a quantity. Quantum is equal to quantity. Okay. Then what do you mean by merit? Quantum merit is nothing but as much as earned. Suppose you have done proportionate of the work, you are eligible to get the payment for that proportionate work. It is very clear. So suppose you have entered into an agreement for 5 months and you have done the work for 2 months, then you are eligible to get the payment for 2 months, and the remaining 3 months, of course, you are not eligible to get the payment. Why? Because in that case you have not worked, isn't it? You have not worked, that is why you are not eligible to get the payment. See this, suit upon quantum merit. The expression quantum merit literally means as much as earned. It means the payment in proportion to the quantum or quantity of the work performed. That is, the person can recover compensation in proportion to the work done by him. So, what example you can give for quantum merit? See this example. Let us see this example. A offers B to work as a teacher on contract basis for rupees 80,000 in his school. So A is management, so B is a teacher. Okay, clear. So for a leave vacancy for 4 months, as C, an existing teacher, has applied for medical leave. So in the place of C, now A wants B to work as a teacher only for 4 months. It is very clear. The payment for which would be made only after the completion of contract. What do you mean by completion of contract? After 4 months, B will get the amount. Then next, B agreed for the same and enters into the contract. But C returns to duty after 2 months and A terminates B from the leave vacancy. See this? Originally they have contracted for 4 months, but what happens? The old existing teacher returned within 2 months. So in that case, of course, leave vacancy is over, isn't it? Why? Because here B was given work in the place of C. So now C has returned. So C is the original. C has the original right to do that work because he worked in that particular institution, isn't it? So that is why A now terminates the contract. So now what happens after that? And refuses to pay the remuneration to B. Now A says that he will not pay salary to B. Why? Because B has not worked for 4 months. Whether A's claim is eligible, whether A's claim is satisfactory. No. Why A's claim is not satisfactory? Because here proportionate of the work done needs to be paid. That is the case of quantum merit. Quantum merit means as much as earned. That means what? Here B worked for 2 months. That means A has to give payment of 2 months to B. See this. Now in this example, B has every right to claim 40,000 from A. So 80,000 for 4 months means 40,000 for 2 months. Very clear. Yes, for per month you will get 20,000. Yes, on the ground of quantum merit by filing the suit in the court of law since he has worked for 2 months. So, have you understood the quantum merit now? Have you understood quantum merit? Have you understood quantum merit now? Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, yes. See, there is a connectivity issue. So, so we are talking about quantum merit. So now I hope that everyone understood the meaning of quantum merit. Yes. So now after this, we need to see one more concept. Before that, I need to share the screen again. Yes. So next is fourth one. Remedies for breach of a contract. Now, fourth one is suit for specific performance. What do you mean by specific performance? That also we need to see. What do you mean by specific performance? So, what do you mean by specific performance? Sometimes it is not possible for the court to decide. Sometimes it is not possible for the court to decide whether compensation must be given or actual performance must be executed. Whenever there is an uncertainty, in that case, sometimes court may ask the party to actually perform the contract, because there are some contracts under which compensations are not an adequate remedy. What are those contracts that we need to see? Compensation is not an adequate remedy. What are those contracts? See this. Sometimes damages are not an adequate remedy. In case agreed party may ask for specific performance. However, it is at the discretion of the court. Monetary compensation is not an adequate and difficulty in assessment of actual damage. See, so life, now we take the example of life. When life cannot be measured in terms of money. So similarly, there are certain contracts which cannot be measured in terms of money or in terms of compensation. In that case, the party who has failed to perform the contract has to perform the contract. So that is the meaning of specific performance. Now, next one is suit for injunction. Next is suit for injunction. What do you mean by injunction? Injunction means what? We have discussed this. Injunction. Injunction is nothing but it is preventing the person from doing one particular act. Injunction is nothing but it's one kind of preventive order. So, what do you mean by preventive order? Preventive order means here court will issue some order, and with the help of that, aggrieved party can stop the defaulting party from doing particular things. So, what is that? That we need to see now. See this. Suit for injunction. The term injunction may be defined as an order of the court preventing a person from doing something which he has promised not to do. So what are the types of injunction we are having? So there are two types of injunctions are there. First is temporary injunction. Second one is permanent injunction. So what do you mean by temporary injunction? See this. When an injunction order is given for the time being, which prohibits the person or a party from doing some act till the question of the rights of the aggrieved party is settled. See, for this you can give example of film industry. See, film industry example you can give for this purpose. Suppose one actor enter into a contract with the producer that he will work for that producer only for 1 year, and they have made one written contract. Yes, after that, that particular actor decide to work with another producer. In that case, old or original producer can give injunction order. So what is that injunction order? It will temporarily stop that particular actor from working with another director. So these are the procedure comes with the help of court of law. Yes. Next is permanent injunction. What do you mean by permanent injunction? It prevents a party permanently from doing particular act. So there may be some circumstances if a party intend to cause more losses to the aggrieved party. In that case, court may say that you are denied or you are restricted from doing one particular act. So that is known as permanent injunction. So there are total 5 types. 5 types are there. See this. First one is suit for rescission. Remedies for breach of contract. We are talking suit for rescission, suit for damages. Then there is a suit upon quantum merit. Then suit for specific performance. Then last one is suit for injunction. These are the 5 main remedies available when there is a breach. So these are the topics which are covered under this chapter. So there are mainly 2 topics. One is quasi contract. Then second one is discharge of the contract. Discharge of the contract or modes of discharge of the contract. So now let us see this. There are some case law. Any doubt regarding this, you can ask me before discussing the case law. So there are 2 case law we need to discuss before winding up this chapter. So any doubt regarding this you can ask me now. Akamsha, Amrita, Ankita, Anusha, Kushal, Narsimha, Nishant, Omkar, Pooja, Pratish, Rajat, Shifali, Suresh. Anything you want to ask regarding this particular chapter? Chapter number 4, quasi contract. Ankita is saying no doubt. See, what about others? Akamsha is saying no. Kushal, Suresh, Anusha is saying no. Okay. See, yes. So now we need to discuss last two case laws are there that we need to discuss. See this now, case law. Case law Hadley versus Baxendale 1854. So what is this case law is all about? That we need to see. Hadley versus Baxendale 1854. This case law is about special damages. Very clear. So till now we have discussed various case laws. Balfour versus Balfour we discussed. Carlisle versus Carbolic Smoke Ball. Nash versus Inman. Then various things we have discussed. Derry versus Peak. See this. So now similarly there is one more case law, Hadley versus Baxendale. So this case law is about special damages. So let us discuss this. So now A, mill owner. So A is the mill owner, delivered the shaft of a machine for supplying the new one at the earliest to be a common carrier. So in short what you can say is a mill owner wants to repair his machine. So want to repair his machine. So he will send his machine to B. So B and B will give that machine repaired. So now let us see. A informed B that his mill would stop production if there was a delay in supplying the shaft. Okay. So he has also informed B about amount of profit he would lose if the production was stopped for the want of the shaft. Okay. So now what A does, A will inform in advance that I want that particular machine in time. If you fail to give me that particular machine in time, I will suffer the losses. I will suffer the losses and my production activities may stop, because who is A? A is a mill owner. Of course, there is a day-to-day production activity, isn't it? So if there is a delay in supplying the machine, of course, their production activities may affect because of that. Yes. So now let us see what happens. Now, unreasonable delay by B in supplying the shaft resulted in stoppage of production, and in consequences A, besides his normal profit, also lost the profitable contract accepted by him from the government, which he did not disclose to B at the time of delivering the shaft for replacement. Okay. So now here what happens? B will not give the machine in time. B will not replace the machine in time. So now A suffered the loss. A suffered the loss, and in addition to the loss, what happens? He lost one more profitable contract, or there is some government order that also he lost. But that government order A has not specified at the time of formation of the contract to B. So till now it is very clear. So now my question is, if A does not specify the material terms of the contract, so material terms means all the details of the contract to be a common carrier, in that case whether A can recover that not specified amount. What is that not specified amount? Whether A can recover the amount he lost because of the government order from B. Can you tell me now? Whether A can recover the amount which he has lost because of delay in the shaft and there was one government order. See this. See this. He lost a profitable contract accepted by him from the government. which he did not disclose to B. So whether B is eligible to give the payment or compensation to A, can you tell me whether B is eligible to give compensation to A? See, Amrita is saying no. What about others? No or yes? The answer is no. Why? I will tell you why. Because in the case of, this is the case of special damage. So in the case of special damage, you have to bring to the notice, or you have to inform the defaulting party. You have to inform the defaulting party about the special damages in advance, or else what happens, aggrieved party cannot claim such special damages from defaulting party. For that we need to see the rule once again. See this, under damages, let us go for special damages. See this, special damages, last sentence they have given, these damages are recoverable only if special circumstances were brought to the notice of the defaulting party. So who is the defaulting party here? Defaulting party is, can you tell me the defaulting party, A or B? In this case law, who is a defaulting party? Whether the mill owner is a defaulting party or a common carrier is a defaulting party. Can you tell me whether mill owner is a defaulting party? Amrita is saying yes. Mill owner is the defaulting party. Okay. So yes, one way it is correct. One way it is correct, but in this case law, we are talking about defaulting party, that is a common carrier, because here common carrier has failed to supply the machine in time. Here common carrier failed to supply the machine in time. That is why A becomes aggrieved party and not defaulting party. So mill owner is the aggrieved party in this case. So why A is the aggrieved party, I will tell you. Because A has suffered the loss, B has not suffered the loss, isn't it? Common carrier has not suffered the loss, A, the mill owner, has suffered the loss. So one who suffered the loss is the aggrieved party, and one who committed the breach is the defaulting party. So in this case, A is aggrieved party. Mill owner is an aggrieved party. So what is the judgment is given? See this. Now A sued B for the amount of profit he had lost during the period of delay and the profit he would have earned in the government order. Okay. So now held in the court of law, or the judgment is given in favor of A, that A can recover only normal profit. What is a normal profit? That is production has stopped right now. Because of stoppage of production, he has suffered some losses, so he can recover that losses, but whatever the amount he lost because of government order, that he cannot recover. Why? Because A did not bring it to the notice of B at the time of entering into the contract. So he can recover only normal profit. Special damages cannot be recovered. Hence it is not brought to the notice at the time of entering into a contract. So this is about Hadley versus Baxendale case law of 1854. So this type of case law comes for 6 mark case law. Any doubt regarding this Hadley versus Baxendale? Any doubt regarding this case law? Anything confused about this case law, you can ask me. Anything you got confused regarding this case law? Who is aggrieved party? Aggrieved party is a mill owner. Who is a defaulting party? Common carrier is a defaulting party. So what is the rule for special damages? Special damages must be brought to the notice at the time of entering into the contract, or else it cannot be recovered. So that things you need to remember. Yes. So now one more case law we need to see. Next case law is about Plank versus Colburn, 1831. Plank versus Colburn, 1831. So what is this case law all about? So this case law is about quantum merit. This is regarding suit upon quantum merit. So what do you mean by quantum merit? Quantum merit means as much as earned. So proportionate of the work need to be paid. Simple. In short, you can say that proportionate of the work needs to be paid. So what is this case law? We'll see now. See this. A. An editor of periodical newspaper engaged B, an author. So A is an editor, B is an author, to publish certain article in 6 volumes for honorarium for remuneration of 100 euros payable after completion of the work. Okay, so usually let us now assume that one volume comes after every month end, one volume publishes. So here the salary or the honorarium is payable only after the completion of total 6 volume. So 6 volume means only after 6 months he will be entitled to get the amount. Who is entitled to get the amount? Author, because author is going to publish one article. So who is A is an editor, B is an author. Okay. So now after the completion of 3 volume, periodical was discontinued. So what do you mean by periodical? So periodical is nothing but it is one kind of magazine. Let us say one kind of magazine. So now magazine started in 2020 January. In January itself, now A editor enters into contract with B, an author, to write article for 6 months. That is January to June. So let us say in the month of March, periodical got discontinued because of various reason. So because of COVID-19, anything, for any reason, now the periodical got discontinued. In that case, now what happens? See this, on refusal to pay the honorarium by A, B filed a suit claiming 50 euros for the part of the work done by him. So whether B is eligible to get the amount? Yes. Why B is eligible to get the amount? Because he has done proportionate of the work. They enter into a contract for 6 months, but B has done the work for 3 months. So now here A is entitled to give the payment for the work done. So how many months B has worked? For 3 months. So he has to pay for 3 months. So what is the amount? Original amount is 100 euros. That is for 6 months. For 3 months, how much? 50 euros. See this. So now B filed a suit claiming 50 euros for the part of the work done by him. It was held in the court of law that B was entitled to get the said amount as it is represented the reasonable compensation for the work done by him. So you see here, this is the case of quantum merit, that is proportionate of the work done needs to be paid. So any